fans. For the first time in over 25 years, it's time to introduce your Knoxville Smokies.
Go Smokies!
All right, Smokies fans, welcome back to the live pilot pregame show. We're here from Boyd's Jig and Reel. Man, what a beautiful setting. They've got everything spruced up for 4th of July weekend, and, you know, we just had some great food, some great stuff that we reviewed, thanks to our executive chef, Aaron Gonnelly, back on our first segment that was aired on the Covenant Health Park scoreboard. So we thank you for everyone who's still tuning in here on YouTube or wherever you get your live streams, because we're back alongside Richie Giuliano, Philip Stalzer, myself, Connor Nelson. We're here to bring you the second segment. So first, just to give you a little bit of a recap of what we talked about in that first segment, you know, we got our starting pitchers for today, George Clausen versus Chris Clark. Thank you, Chrome Prodigy. I see that comment. I love Connor out there. We know I love all of our viewers, okay? None more than others, but Chrome Prodigy's pretty high up there. Anyways, series is tied right now. It's a 2-2 series. The Smokies need to win today and tomorrow to lock up this series against the Rocket City Trash Pandas, AA affiliate of the Los Angeles Angels. And then a quick standings check. Smokies are still in first, baby. Let's go. Half a game up on Chattanooga and a game up on Birmingham. Those two just battling each other right now, making it easy for the Smokies to kind of coast through first place. But, man, they really need to get the foot on the gas pedal if they want to really extend this lead that they've got in the Southern League North right now.
Yeah, you got to take advantage of these games against Rocket City, who's the worst team in the league. And they started the second half 0-6 after they got swept in the first series of the second half. So these are the games you look back at when the season is over and say, man, we only won 3 games against the worst team in the league. You got to win at least 4 or 5 and win the series, especially at home. So a big series and a big weekend now for the Smokies here to extend that lead in the standings.
Yep. Hopefully they can manufacture their own fireworks, as 4th of July is officially over since yesterday, but there will be fireworks after the game. But I'm just more so talking about that offense. I feel like I bring it up almost too often now on these shows, guys, that I want to see some more home runs. We brought up a stat before the show. At Covenant Health Park, we've led up and hit the least amount of home runs out of any other stadium besides the Birmingham Barons. So Covenant Health Park has proven to be a pitcher's park so far in its first year of use. I don't know. Do we have any plans, Mr. Outside Events Coordinator, to bring in the fences in?
No.
Is that not in your department?
That's not on the construction list of bringing the fences in. I don't really know why it's turned into a pitcher's park, because the dimensions down and left and right are no deeper than any other park that we play in. Now, out into left and right center field and straight away is a little bit deeper. Could be a wind thing, too. You know, I think it might be blocked with the buildings surrounding it. You know, you got the apartments in left, you've got the condominiums in right that are, you know, bigger buildings, so it could be blocking the wind pattern blowing out.
Yeah, we need a NASCAR F1 wind specialist in here. Tell us how we need to be hitting more home runs. I just watched the F1 movie, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
But all right, let's go ahead and get into our first segment here. I got a couple questions for you guys I'm excited to ask. We'll show you kind of our view here.
2-3 punch in your starting rotation. That could be trouble. If you play him in a 5-game series, you're really in trouble. If you play him in 7, you got to face 2 of them twice. So I think the Phillies, because of their starting pitching, could cause some havoc in the postseason this year. And they're still in first place in their division, half a game ahead of your Mets there, Phil.
Oh, a shot at the Mets right there, Phil. So who's your team? Are you going to go with your Mets?
Yeah, I'm kind of going back and forth here. I think that the Mets are frightening just because of the offensive prowess that they have. The Cubs pitching staff has been pretty good so far, but I just think a team like the Mets lineup, especially that top half of the order, is just super deadly and can really put a hurt on just about any pitcher in this league.
Yeah, you guys both went with a couple of guys or a couple of teams in this National League that are in the Central or the East. Mm-hmm. I'm going to stick to the West. I know I said I couldn't say the Dodgers, but I'm going to go with the San Diego Padres. They're just 8 games back of the West and the Dodgers, so not exactly hoping for that first-place spot right now, but the San Diego Padres are a team that knows if they get into the postseason, anything can happen with the roster that they have constructed. And in my foreshadowing of these events right here, if the Cubs get matched up with the Padres and they see that the Dodgers are on the other end of that, I think the Padres are going to be really motivated to go ahead and kick whoever they get in the first round out of it so they can go try and whoop the Dodgers. So I'm going to be a little bit scared if the Padres and the Cubs meet up in either the wild card or the first round, wherever it may be. But those are our scariest teams in the National League right now as it concerns the Cubs. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on. We've still got more Cubs news to talk about. Michael Busch, yesterday on 4th of July, just became the 3rd player in Cubs history to have 3 home runs in a single game. And one of the more bizarre facts about it is that the other times that this has happened in Chicago Cubs history, they've all been on the 4th of July. So the fireworks are just, they're contagious. What do you guys think about this? I feel like that's just a wild stat on its own.
Yeah, that's just a weird stat. But Michael Busch, man, he hit another home run today. They're playing right now against the St. Louis Cardinals in Wrigley. So he's 3 for 4 again today with a double and a home run, just on a tear right now. So we were talking about this yesterday because Owen Casey, who was a former Tennessee Smoky, is sitting in AAA and is one of the most talented outfielders in the Cubs system. But you have guys all around the National League right now, and especially the outfield with Seiya Suzuki. You have Pete Crow Armstrong and then Kyle Tucker, 2 starters in the All-Star game this year. There's nowhere to put them. And even if you tried to move Owen Casey to, say the infield and try him at first base because he's a taller guy, now you got Busch that's hitting, lights out, now hitting 295 on the season. So there's really nowhere for him to go. But Busch this year has been phenomenal, a great trade in my opinion, hitting 295. He's got 18 home runs and 56 RBIs for the Cubs. So good trade.
Yeah, and speaking of the trade that acquired him, that was back in January of 2024. The Dodgers sent Michael Busch and right-handed reliever Yency Almonte to the Cubs for a couple of prospects, a left-handed pitcher in Jackson Ferris and an outfielder in Zaire Hope. Ferris currently sits as the number 4 prospect for the Dodgers, hasn't had a great season thus far in Double-A. Zaire Hope, currently the 2nd overall prospect in the Dodgers organization, and he's having himself quite a season in High A. So my question to you guys right now, with what we've seen from each side of this trade, you got Almonte, who's currently sitting on the IL. He had a season-ending shoulder surgery last season. Who won this trade?
Yeah, in my opinion, I think it's close. But you look at these prospects. Jackson Ferris pitching pretty well in Double-A, but Zaire Hope is just going insane. So I like what the Dodgers have going on here, building a very strong farm system. And, they might not call a lot of these guys up as with all the money they spend on all these superstars, but having a strong farm system like that is never a bad thing. So being able to continuously pump guys like this out is very, very good for them.
Seems like the Dodgers have always been able to know exactly when a prospect's kind of reached the end of his leash in the minor leagues in their organization or when he's really ready to take that next step up to the big league level. Because like you said, they're paying a lot of superstars right now. There's not too many spots for young guys to come and make appearances. We've seen one of their prospect catchers, Dalton Rushing, come up, and he's kind of the number 2 behind Will Smith. So even then, one of your most highly touted prospects is just warming the bench for you right now on an everyday basis. So It's an interesting one there. So I don't know if did you even really answer my question there, Phil? I need an answer. Who won the trade?
Yeah, no, I think the Dodgers did win.
Wow.
Honestly, I think that they, like I said, just like building the farm system is just kind of gives them a little bit of an edge. They've got a lot to work with there.
All right, I like it. And then Richie, what do you think? Who won this trade?
I think the Cubs won it right now with Michael Busch and how good he's been, and they needed a first baseman to step up. And ever since Rizzo left, that's kind of been an empty spot for the Cubs. And Busch has stepped in, and his numbers are great. He's slugging at a high percentage. A guy they needed to drive in runs, and they're getting production out of him. And you never know what's going to happen with a prospect. You really never know. Zaire Hope could be great now, but when he gets to AA, AAA, they could figure him out, and he may never make it to the big leagues. So when you make a trade like that with two really good minor league prospects, you want the guy that has major league experience to be good in your organization. And Busch has done that for the Cubs. And for the Dodgers, you know what? They might get a great career out of Zaire Hope and Jackson Ferris, and then down the road they're going to be like, well, we won this trade because they're still good now, and they got two great prospects. But I'm living right now with the Cubs season and them being the top team in the Central, and Busch is a big reason for that. So I'm going to say the Cubs right now have won this trade.
I like how you put it right there, because if you segment it to this season, 2025. Who's winning this trade on either side? Obviously, the Cubs are getting a whole lot more production out of Michael Busch than the Dodgers are out of Ferris and Hope, with both of them still sitting in the minor leagues. So, Busch has just been electric. And then think about if this trade hadn't have happened. Where would Jackson Ferris and Zaire Hope be? Well, obviously, Zaire Hope wouldn't be playing the outfield. We just talked about Owen Casey and how he's been roadblocked. Zaire Hope still down in high A. And then Jackson Ferris, a left-handed pitcher, who knows? Maybe he could have a more, short-term future with the Cubs in terms of how their starting pitching is worked out right now. But you can't discount the production out of Michael Busch. So I think I'm going to go ahead and stick with you there, Richie, that I do think the Cubs have won this trade for now. But, hey, if you look at this trade again in about 4 or 5 years, I think it'll be a quite interesting conversation to see how these prospects can turn out for this team. So with that, folks, that'll wrap up our Cubs news. But we're still staying here within the organization because we're going to take a look around the farm. We're talking about a couple of prospects. It's trade deadline season. The Cubs seem to be like one of these teams that's going to be buying and selling some of these prospects. So the first guy on my list that I wanted to talk to you guys about, I'm going to ask you, is this guy a trade target for another team, or is this guy off limits in the Cubs, sense of things? So the first guy on the list, Jonathan Long, number 11 overall prospect in the Cubs system. So, Richie, in your opinion, is this a guy that you're going to be willing to give up this year in a trade, or is it someone you want to stash away for yourself?
No, I'd trade him, honestly. I think watching Jonathan Long, he's a fantastic hitter, hitting .317 in AAA this year, one of the best RBI hitters with 54 runs batted in, has developed some patience at the plate with 38 walks. But when I look at Jonathan Long, the one thing that is a disadvantage is he struggles to play a good position. They've tried to play him in the infield and in the outfield. This year he's played first, he's played third, and he's played left field for the iCubs. And he's just a below-average defender, and I think that's what's going to hurt him. A fantastic hitter, but just nowhere to put him in the field. So, if I were the Cubs, I would definitely use him as some leverage in a trade.
Yeah, I think you put it perfectly there, but I'm interested to hear what you think, Phil. Is Jonathan Long a guy who's untouchable on your list, or are you shopping him around this trade deadline season?
No, I think Richie put it perfectly. Like you said before, you've got Busch at first base. There's not really any room for him up at the major league level, so I don't really see the value of holding on to him, letting him just sit there in AAA. Like, he's playing amazing right now. He's probably some of the best value you could get out of a prospect like that. So I think that he could be a really a headliner in a trade and really go get some good talent to push this Cubs team over the edge.
Yeah, I'll play devil's advocate here. I think if I'm up at the top of the Cubs system, just because I heard you guys say that, I'm going to go ahead and flip to the other side. I want to keep Jonathan Long for as long as possible because, yeah, sure, he doesn't have a spot right now. Michael Busch is playing first base, third base is kind of touch and go with Matt Shaw. But, man, this guy, one rumor that was floated around there, I don't think this is going to happen, was that Austin Riley may be on the trade market. And our director, Mick Gillespie, was talking to me about it. And I was like, to be honest, I feel like Jonathan Long is your version of an Austin Riley. Sure, he's not going to play the Gold Glove third base or the even just above average third base that Riley can play. But, hey, you can platoon him at first base with Michael Bush when you're going for those righty-lefty splits. Throw him in left field for a couple of games, hide his glove for that bat, because this guy could make a huge impact in the batting lineup. And say you lose out on Kyle Tucker next year, he goes and signs with another team. Then you're left with Suzuki, Crow Armstrong, and Ian Happ in the outfield still. So your outfield's still locked up, and then you can kind of start transitioning Jonathan Long a little bit more time in the infield or in those corner outfield positions when you want to get Seiya or Happ or PCA off their feet and into that DH role. So I like the back and forth here. I think Jonathan Long is a prospect to watch out for to see if he is headlining any of these trades because, Phil, I think you put it perfectly there. If he's involved in a trade right now, he's going to be one of the first two names that you see when that ESPN headline comes out. So excited to see Jonathan Long and what is in store for his future. And then the next guy I wanted to talk about, a guy who hasn't made it up to the I Cubs yet or even Double-A. It's Jefferson Rojas, currently the number 3 overall prospect in the Cubs organization. So same question, Richie, we'll start with you again. Is this guy a trade target that you're shopping around, or is he untouchable?
This one's a lot tougher than Jonathan Long, I think, because I think you got a potential star here in high A, but the only concern I have, he has not made it to Double-A yet. So he's been in high A the last 2 years. He's played 155 games. He could play second and short. I'd love to see him in Knoxville soon because the Smokies could use another shortstop. So love to test the young talent and see what he could do at this level. It's a big jump from high A to Double-A, as we've seen a lot of guys either make an adjustment in a good way or a bad way getting to this level. So if I was an organization, before I would trade for Rojas, I'd like to see him get to Double-A first.
I think that's a good point. And he is just only 20 years old, hasn't even been able to take a first legal drink yet. So
Right.
that could be one of the reasons why he's been held back from getting that promotion to Double-A. But, Phil, what do you think? Is this guy a guy you're shopping around or untouchable?
I'm kind of stuck in the middle here. I'm leaning towards keeping him. I just think that, like you said, he's got a lot left to prove, but he has a lot of time to do it. So I think that I think it's worth it to keep him around, really allow him to show what he can do, and I think he can be a very valuable asset to the Cubs if you give it a couple of years.
Yeah, I think obviously since we're here in Knoxville, I'd be excited to see him get the call up and see how he's able to perform at the Double-A level with this next step of professional baseball. And yeah, the trade deadline could mean anything. It could mean somebody gets pulled in a trade from AAA like Jonathan Long, so the ladder keeps rolling down. There's going to be a spot open in each roster, so somebody's going to have to get the call. Going to be excited to see if Rojas gets one of those calls here. But I'm going to go ahead and lean on the side that Rojas is probably untouchable right now. He's a guy who's not exactly going to be a trade piece for a team that's looking for a guy who's going to impact their team now. So, like you said, Richie, I think other teams are going to be a little bit skeptical for overpaying for a guy like Jefferson Rojas just until they see some Double-A production. So, excited to see the rest of Jefferson Rojas' season, the rest of Jonathan Long's season, and then we got one more segment before we take a little bit of a break, and that's what's trending now in the MLB. And, of course, one of the first things we got to talk about, an absolute career milestone reached by Clayton Kershaw. 3,000 strikeouts in his career, took him 18 seasons, but, man, this moment was insane. At the end of an inning, in front of the home crowd, you get to walk off, and you see the family, you see the team. I mean, this is just an incredible feat. But my question to you guys is, are we ever going to see another starting pitcher to get to that point? 3,000 strikeouts. With the way pitching is going right now, I think a lot of people are left uncertain.
Yeah, definitely. I guess the one guy who's been highlighted ever since he was in college at LSU, and right now he's one of the biggest names in baseball. He fills up PNC Park every single night that he pitches, and even on the road. I think it's Paul Skeens. Just how young he is, getting to the big leagues early is a huge advantage. Now, the biggest question is, can he stay healthy? When you throw that hard and the way that guys have been getting hurt a lot lately, that's the biggest question. If you get to 3,000 in your career, is how long are you going to be healthy? But if Skeens stays on the same track he's been on the first 2 years of his major league career, he's definitely up there for a chance by the time he turns 33, 34 to get close to 3,000.
Yeah, he just seems like a guy, and obviously we've seen him perform. 115 strikeouts in 110 innings this season. And he's not a guy who needs to lean on the strikeout to get outs because his stuff is so overpowering, but it just seems like it comes with his game naturally, which is one of those biggest things. He's not ever Doesn't seem like he's ever pitching for the strikeout, but he's going to come attack you with his best stuff, and that's how he's going to get you out. My one key thing I wanted to point out here is that Clayton Kershaw started his career at 20 years old. He got 21 starts that season in 2008. Paul Skeens starting a little bit behind, 22 years old in his first season last year. So it'll be, he's going to have to do some catching up because Kershaw, another guy who wasn't really plagued with injuries throughout the prime of his career.
Right.
So that's another part that factors into this decision and kind of the names we're throwing out there. So, Phil, I'll throw it over to you. Who's the guy you're looking at? If you had to pick one guy to reach that 3,000 strikeout mark, who's it going to be?
Yeah, I think it's the newcomer, Jacob Mizorowski.
Ooh,
showed up in the league and just started dominating out of the gate. So just already 19 and 2/3 innings pitched, 21 strikeouts already. Of course, it's way too early in this guy's career, but just like the absolute dominance that he showed so far, he could really climb the ladder as far as the strikeout leaderboard.
I think it's going to be – I think that's a great call-out, first of all, but I will say I think it's going to be tough for him, too, because this season he's 23 years old, and you're looking at guys in the prime of their career and how they're able to elongate their prime and really rack up those strikeouts. I think it's going to be hard for a guy like Mizorowski to do that at age 23 right now, and he is a guy who in the past everybody's been kind of worried about how his body's going to hold up. He's a skinnier guy. He's a lengthier guy. Of course, we've seen guys with similar frames like Jacob deGrom go ahead and have those injury troubles even while being so dominant when they are on the field. So I'm going to have my eyes closely peeled on this guy right here, Jacob Mizorowski and Paul Skeens. And then you know what, guys? I think for my player, I'm going to keep it in the NL Central. I'm going to go with Chase Burns. And again, I've been pointing out when these guys are starting their careers. That's been my main hitting point. And Chase Burns just got to the big leagues. He is 22 years old. But getting to see this guy throw in person against our Smokies was just incredible. I mean, this guy commanded 4 pitches in the zone the entire game at will. He was putting these pitches wherever he wanted them, and I think that's one of the biggest parts in terms of striking guys out, having complete control over your full arsenal. So Chase Burns is a guy that I'm really excited to watch pitch in the NL Central and against some of the best teams in the league because was greeted in his Major League debut by what? Was it the Yankees, I believe?
Mm-hmm. Yankees, yeah.
Yeah, and, he got touched up a little bit, but still a very quality start out of the right-hander. And so we'll kind of put a pin in that. Obviously, we're going to be waiting to see how those guys' careers progress. We talked about a lot of young guys. If, you're looking at the older side of things, you got Garrett Cole in 61st place in the all-time strikeout leaderboard. He's got 2,200. Charlie Morton's right there around 2,100. And then Chris Sale is actually the next closest active pitcher with 2,528 strikeouts. So it'd need a couple of more seasons for Chris Sale, and of course we've been seeing him be plagued by injuries the last handful of seasons. So my hopes and prayers out to Chris Sale because I think he is such an electric pitcher to watch. If he's able to reach that moment, it'd be pretty cool. So move on to our last topic here on our MLB news. This one's real interesting, and it's hitting with your guards.
Yeah.
Richie. Luis Ortiz has recently been he's on a non-disciplinary paid leave is how the MLB is putting it right now until at least July 17th while the MLB investigates him for potentially betting against himself. They're looking at 2 specific pitches on different starts, both at the start of an inning. And so this betting integrity firm known as IC360 flagged bets made in Ohio, New York, and New Jersey on specific Ortiz pitches. These pitches are going viral. I don't have the videos right now, but just to explain a little bit more, the bets were on the first pitch of an inning to either be a ball or a hit by pitch. And if you look at the videos, the first one, the oldest video, it looks like a slider in the dirt. Nothing too suspicious there. But then you see the second video, and he just completely spikes it. Nowhere close to the zone. Not a competitive pitch at all. So now that grouped along with those bets, they're getting some strange reactions. What are your guys' first thoughts hearing this?
Yeah, I hate that as a Guardians fan. And this is all bad timing because Cleveland's lost 8 games in a row. And, they're struggling right now. And then you get this that comes out, and it's just not a good look for your organization. Ortiz acquired from the Pittsburgh Pirates early in his career for that's when the Guardians sent second baseman Andres Gimenez to the Blue Jays. It was kind of that 3-man trade. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what to think yet. There's a lot that goes into it. Is it flagged? I don't know how they even come up with that. It's 2 random pitches in a Major League Baseball game. I don't know how they would flag it, but kind of crazy with technology and AI these days, the way that they're able to do that. So, I don't know. It would hurt as a Guardians fan to see this be true. And then it also really hurts the integrity of the game of baseball if you have guys that are, throwing games again. Because, in the past with, like, the whole Black Sox scandal, baseball's had a past of betting and the whole Pete Rose thing. So you would hate to see it. Just hate to see it.
Phil, any thoughts on this suspension, non-disciplinary paid leave, the whole betting situation in itself?
Yeah, I was going to say what Richie was going to say. It's just insane that they can flag this kind of stuff. But, it's good that, if this is true, it's good that they can flag this kind of stuff, because it really, like you said, it's bad for the integrity of the game if people are betting against themselves. It really just ruins the game, ruins the sport, the spectacle for the fans. So being able to grab these things as they're happening and really ensure that we're all just here to watch the game that we love is really important. So
Yeah.
I'm glad they can at least catch that.
It's kind of like the sticky stuff. Like, I think Major League Baseball and Minor League Baseball did a great job. Like, okay, you know what? We're having a problem with this sticky stuff with pitchers. We're going to end this now. And now you rarely see it happen. Maybe once or twice every couple of months you'll have a player that gets caught. But, the numbers have drastically went down. And it could be the same thing for betting. If they could find 2 random pitches in 2 games and catch a guy cheating, they're going to be able to catch anybody. So it could help. It could really help a game and teach the players a lesson here.
Yeah, we saw the whole scandal with Ohtani and his translator just a year ago, so something so soon to that, it's tough. And you guys said it best. If you're able to flag 2 of these random occurrences, hopefully they're able to catch everything. Got a few comments and quotes from Guardians teammates and managers. Nolan Jones, one of their outfielders, said, "I have no comment." I think that's a pretty quick answer to that. And then their manager, Steven Vogt, one of my favorite managers in the big league, says, "I have no comment on gambling with baseball. We're not allowed to have any part of it." And I think that pretty much sums it up. That's where we'll kind of leave that conversation is, Luis Ortiz still on non-disciplinary paid leave, so we'll try to stay tuned with that headline and see how that story unfolds. But we'll go ahead and take a quick break, folks. We'll hear from Boyd's Jig and Reel, or see a video too, and then we're going to come back with some trivia. We're going to see which one of either Phil or I can name more 2016 World Series Cubbies. And then we're going to have a little bit of a giveaway over here and a quick breakdown of what's going to come up here at 7 o'clock at Covenant Health Park. So with that, we'll go ahead and take a break, and we will see you right on the other side of this one.
Fans,
Escape to the sunshine and soft sands of Sarasota, Florida. With nonstop flights from McGee Tyson Airport, your next beach getaway is just a short flight away. Whether you're craving fresh seafood, stunning sunsets, or a stroll through the charming streets of St. Armand Circle, Sarasota has it all. Book your flights now at flyknoxville.com and trade the everyday for an ocean breeze.
Looking for the true spirit of the Smokies? Old Forge Distillery in Pigeon Forge handcrafts award-winning bourbon, vodka, and moonshine made in the heart of the Smoky Mountains. No wonder they're the official bourbon, vodka, and moonshine partner of the Knoxville Smokies. Swing by for free samples, tours, and one-of-a-kind spirits you won't find anywhere else. Whether you're into smooth bourbon, refreshing vodka, or Tennessee moonshine, your spirit adventure starts here. Old Forge Distillery, where Smoky Mountain tradition comes to life. Please drink responsibly.
Hey fans, catch the excitement of minor league baseball with the Bally Sports Live app. Watch your favorite team or scout the top prospects. Every game live all season long. Strike 3, you're out. Plus, stream the Savannah Bananas and emerging fight sports to keep the action going. Best of all, it's totally free. No credit card required. Download the Bally Sports Live app today on your phone or connected device.
Welcome back. Another episode of the Pilot Pre-Game Show here at the Boyd's Jig Reel. Just a walk away from Covenant Health Park. We're getting ready for Game 5 of 6 between the Knoxville Smokies and the Rocket City Trash Pandas, who are in first place. These guys are smirking because we're going to do a little trivia segment between these two. Who can name the most players from the Cubs 2016 World Series roster? And they had the names in front of them there, and we decided to do a little contest. So hopefully one of you guys doesn't have a great memory.
I don't
What do
know.
you call that? Photographic memory.
Yeah, photographic memory.
All right, so we're going to start with Philip. So 2016 roster. I'm going to tally this as you go. All right, this is pitchers, infielders, outfielders, and catchers. And this is the 2016 World Series team that beat Cleveland in Game 7 at Progressive Field. So
I have some fun ones. I have stats. I just don't know when I want to use them. I think we need to get the easy ones out of the way. But you said Phil's first, so we'll see how he sets the tone.
well, yeah, Phil, go ahead.
I'll just start it off with Javi Baez.
Okay.
All right, he takes the 6 hole, of course. I'm going to stay on that side of the infield and go Chris Bryant.
Chris Bryant. Yep, so 2 infielders,
Addison Russell.
another infielder.
Yeah, or a hitter.
I said one of them earlier in the show.
Well, we're going to hold on to that one. All right,
hold
Rich.
on
I
to it.
remember what you're talking about, but I'm going to go ahead and throw out Kyle Hendricks.
Okay, yeah, former Smoky appearance last year.
Yeah.
I'll take Jake Arrieta.
Jake, yeah.
Ooh, the starting pitchers are
Starting
going off the
pitchers are
board.
going hot.
We haven't said Anthony Rizzo yet, so I'm going to go ahead and get that one off the board.
There you go.
Oh, now the sweating is coming.
I'll take Wilson Contreras.
Wilson Contreras.
One of the catchers.
Yep.
I'm curious. I don't know if I'm going to get the backup catcher, so we're going to save that for last.
I'll start giving you guys some hints.
I think I know the backup.
One of the
catcher.
backup catchers.
Okay, hold on. Wait,
turned
pause.
into a manager.
I'm not. Okay, well now I know who it is. But
I didn't hear the,
it's a good hint.
I wouldn't even hear the hint.
all right, David Ross. Then we'll just get
Ross.
it off the table
on,
since
man.
Richie ruined it.
No, that's a good hint.
That was an obvious hint. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, by definition, I guess it was a good hint.
The final infielder had the game-winning hit down the left field line in the extra innings.
I already know who it is. I was saving him, Richie. You got to stop
you might not
blabbering.
That's not coming to me.
Good.
I was going to go the pitcher route. I was going to go with Aroldis Chapman.
Ooh, I didn't think he was going to get many relievers.
Chapman's a good one. Obviously gave up the 2-run bomb to tie the game.
All right, now I'm replicating the batting stance of the player. Oh wait, but he's going to switch over to this
I was
side.
gonna say,
It's Ben Zobrist.
Yeah, there you go.
No, he hits from both sides.
He-
That's
he
why I
is a
did it.
switch hitter.
Yeah,
This is where it's going to start getting shaky for me.
the infield's gone.
Yeah.
We haven't hit one outfielder. All right, this guy opened up the.
No, stop
Game
giving
7
the hints when Phillips up.
Game
Okay,
7
he
of the
doesn't
World
need any
Series with
help.
a home run.
No, I do.
I said it before we started the show.
No, I can't think of anything.
Okay, should I give another hint?
I guess you may have to, because I have at least 2 names in my head.
All right, there's a player that was on the Cubs during the 2016 World Series that now plays for the Phillies.
Oh, Kyle Schwarber.
Yep.
Okay, funny enough that it wasn't one of the 2 outfielders I was thinking of. I'm going to go with one of these guys. What's the penalty for getting something wrong? Are we dropping dead? Because there's one guy I'm like, this guy may have been on the
No, if
roster.
you get it wrong, it's a game over.
It's game. Okay, so then I'm going to back pocket that name, and I'm going to go Jason Hayward.
Yeah. Yep.
I believe I know who the center fielder is, but I'm a little scared to say it. But we'll see if Phil can come back and actually put me up for another shot.
I'm not going to lie, dude. I was locked in on the infield.
Oh, no.
I really
We're out of
don't-
infielders.
I know. I really don't know the outfield.
All right. This guy also played for the Braves. Power hitter. He plays for the Angels now.
Angels.
He's a veteran from Cuba. He's kind of been all over the place. He started his career with the Cubs. He's been a Royal, been a Marlin, and now he's with the Angels. Was with Atlanta last year.
Okay, this is not who I was thinking of in the outfield, but
Yeah, that's not coming to me.
oh, and you're gonna have to dig deep for another pitcher.
Oh, boy.
I think we need a shot clock, Rich.
I can't believe I can't name any of the pitchers.
Oh, this guy could not throw to first base. He had the yips.
That's not doing it for me.
Okay. All right, you're out.
Yeah.
John Lester.
John Lester.
Is Dexter Fowler on this team?
That's who I was talking about. He started off the World Series.
Okay, well then you threw us a curveball by saying he's a power hitter.
No, Jorge Soler is who I was talking about.
Oh, then yes, power hitter.
I probably would have killed you guys in this.
Wait, hold on. Let's see how many more I can get. Is David Robertson on that? Robertson, a reliever on that team, or am I well off by a couple of years?
No.
Nope.
No Robertson.
Crap. Well, technically I'm drop dead lost, but
Yeah,
toast.
All right, I'd say the big ones that are left is Almora Jr. He was good in the outfield.
Albert Almora.
You got all the infielders, which was great.
Yep.
Hector Rondon was left. John Lackey was left.
Oh, he was in the rotation.
Everybody else was out of the bullpen. One I never would have got, Travis Wood, and Mike Montgomery. Those are like
Mike, I don't
those
even
are
know
just
if I
two
knew that name.
relievers that you would never get. But you guys did pretty good. Let's see how many you got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You got 16. 16 of them. Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't get Jorge Soler. I thought I was setting that up on a tee.
If you had said signed jersey in the office, then I probably would have got it. But for whatever reason, the timeline of all the teams totally threw me off.
Yeah, some of these, especially these young outfielders, I forget that they were even on the team.
Right.
Well, all right. I think that wraps up our trivia. Winner, let's go.
Connor wins.
That
You
means I
win,
get to go make the giveaway.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and pop off camera. Richie and Phil are going to take you through the rest of the show, and I'll be back later. You'll catch me more on the next Pilot Pregame Show.
All right, let's wrap this up here, Phil, and we're going to preview the game tonight, and we're going to start with the pitching matchup. George Clausen, who we've touched on, a hard-throwing right-hander, throws 97 miles an hour, but has struggled in his career against Knoxville. He gave up 5 runs in just 3 innings back on April 11th, so the second time they're facing him. And then it's a bullpen game tonight for the Knoxville Smokies. They're going to start right-handed pitcher and Chris Clark, a behemoth guy at 6'7", 215 pounds out of Westlake Village, California. He made 27 relief appearances in college at USC, but has been hurt this year. So I think the key tonight, Phil, and you might be able to touch on this more, is for the bullpen to throw strikes. Last night it was Rocket City who had a bullpen game, and none of their guys were on. They walked 10 guys in the game.
Yeah, making sure to not give up those free passes is extremely important. There's been a couple of games this year I've noticed giving up a lot of free passes, and it makes it really easy, or it gives, I should say, not easy, but it gives the other team a lot of opportunities to score. They don't even have to be that effective with runners in scoring position because they have so many opportunities. So really making sure to limit those walks and those free passes just takes an entire element out of the game for the opposing hitters. So just really trying to be efficient is really just the key to the game, especially when, like you said, you got to throw all these pitchers out today with the bullpen game.
Let's dive into the lineups, and I'll go first with Rocket City. They're going to start David Mershon, the leadoff spot at short. Travis Blankenhorn in left field batting second. Denzer Guzman at the hot corner today batting third. Oscar Colas, former big leaguer with the White Sox, in right field cleans it up. Sam Brown at first batting fifth. Ben Goebel bats sixth at second. Miles Emerson will catch, and he will bat seventh. Ethan Edwards, the designated hitter, is batting eighth, and then Joe Redfield, the center fielder, is batting ninth with George Clausen, the starting pitcher. 2-7 record and a 6.99 ERA. Who is the starting lineup for Lance Rimel's squad tonight in Knoxville?
Parker Shaver's still in the leadoff spot tonight. Will be playing right field tonight. Then Pedro Ramirez behind him playing second base. Corey Joyce is going to be DHing in the 3-hole. B.J. Murray Jr. is going to be at third in the cleanup role. Pablo Aliendo will be at first base. Rayvaj Garcia is going to be at short behind him in the 6-hole. Andy Garriola in left field. Ethan Hearn doing the catching. And to round out the order, Jalen Palmer in center field with Chris Clark on the mound to start the game.
Those are your lineups for tonight's game. Game 5 and a 7 o'clock first pitch. It is a firework night here at the ballpark, so fireworks after the game. And then once you're done, stop over here at Boyd's Jig Reel. They're going to have some live music starting at 9 o'clock, so it could be a great way to end your night here at the Boyd's Jig Reel. That wraps it up for our pregame show that is brought to you by Pilot, committed to connecting people and places with comfort, care, and a smile at every stop. check out one of our conveniently located stations and try delicious burritos, jumbo wings, tenders, pizza, hot home-style meals, and more. Pilot, see you out here. For Philip Stalzer and Connor Nelson, Richie Giuliano saying so long. We'll talk to you on our pregame show starting at 6:45 on Smokies Baseball Network.
Fans, for the first time in over 25 years, it's time to introduce your Knoxville Smokies.
Go Smokies! Woo!